Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're looking at something that's not just culturally rich, but honestly, it's just universally human. We're going to be exploring this fantastic piece of literature called I Dream of Spices. It's a poem that completely nails that very specific, highly relatable kind of memory lapse. We'll break down the narrative structure, look at the exact culinary details, and see how a totally simple, everyday errand turns into a hilarious childhood disaster. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever walked into a shop completely confident in your mission, only to cross the threshold and realize your mind is entirely blank? Seriously, we have all been there, right? You leave the house with a clear objective, maybe you're even repeating the items in your head, but man, by the time you reach the aisle, that information is just literally evaporated. Well, this exact, everyday phenomenon is the beating heart of the poem we're analyzing today. It really grounds the whole literary work in a reality that every single one of us can chuckle at. It completely bridges the gap between a charming story and our own lived experiences.
So this poem was written by Raj Arumugam, and interestingly enough, it actually features a young protagonist who is also named Raj. It gives the whole thing this almost autobiographical, super intimate feel. It's like a fond, maybe slightly embarrassing childhood memory being shared between friends. Anyway, our protagonist, young Raj, is given a very specific task. It's that classic coming-of-age micro moment, you know? Just a simple errand run to the local shop. But as we all know, keeping a grocery list in your working memory when you're a carefree kid is way harder than it sounds.
Let's move on and see exactly how this builds. The poem basically follows four distinct steps that map out our protagonist's comedic downfall. First, we have the mother's request. Second, Raj is singing on the way to Muthu's shop. Third, he completely forgets the list. And fourth, returning with all the wrong items. Okay, let's break these down.
So starting with step 1, Raj's mother asks him for 4 very specific items: cinnamon, betel leaves, ginger, and garlic. Just notice for a second how intensely aromatic this list is. These aren't just generic household items, right? These are potent, flavorful ingredients that are absolutely essential for cooking and cultural practices. I mean, cinnamon brings us deep warmth and complexity. Betel leaves have really distinct traditional and social uses. And ginger and garlic, well, those are the absolute foundational building blocks for so many incredible savory dishes. His mother knows exactly what she needs to make her recipe sing. And honestly, the pure specificity of this culinary request is exactly what makes the rest of the story so thoroughly entertaining.
But here is where the whole plan just totally falls apart. As Raj heads out, he's in high spirits. The source text actually notes that he goes to the shop singing. I mean, he's just a kid enjoying his walk. But here's the catch. That lighthearted singing completely overwrites his working memory. Like a total system reboot. By the time he actually arrives at Muthu's shop, the cinnamon, the ginger, all of it, just gone. Poof. And faced with the shopkeeper Muthu, Raj doesn't just admit he forgot. Oh no. Instead, as the poem says, he confidently rattles off a completely different list of items. It's that totally familiar childhood panic of needing an answer right this second, so his brain simply supplies whatever random groceries it can grab onto.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of his memory failure. Just think about this contrast. Instead of the requested cinnamon, betel leaves, ginger, and garlic, Raj actually purchases sesame seeds, onions, tomatoes, and pickles. I mean, there isn't a single overlapping item here. He didn't just substitute one thing because the shop was out of stock, he missed the mark by a mile. He swapped sweet and pungent spices for seeds, nightshades, and literally jars of pickles. He didn't just forget the list, he invented an entirely new culinary direction for his mother's kitchen, and it was driven entirely by the sudden displacement of his short-term memory.
So the crucial point is, naturally, actions have consequences. You can just imagine the scene, right? Young Raj proudly returns home, drops his haul on the counter, and presents his mother with tomatoes and pickles instead of the ginger and garlic she was waiting for. Well, the source notes that his mother is, understandably, quite displeased. And her swift reaction to this totally incorrect grocery haul? She twists his ears. It's this classic, culturally resonant image of parental exasperation. Just a swift reprimand for a boy who let a song scatter his thoughts and completely derail the evening's meal prep.
Raj Arumugam's poem perfectly captures the frailty of our own memories, alongside the charming, if sometimes slightly painful, innocence of childhood. I love how it takes a mundane errand and turns it into this vivid story of distraction and consequence. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Next time you head to the store, completely confident you don't need to write anything down, will you actually remember the list? Or will you find yourself standing in the middle of the aisle, humming a tune, just dreaming of spices?
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you appreciate the brilliant simplicity of this wonderful story. Catch you next time.